And I had one small housekeeping. That's more just for fun than anything else.
I have an admission.
Admission.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds like... That makes me think of like entering a place other than confessing to something.
Oh, confession. I have a confession.
You also have admission into our hearts.
Okay.
Hi, and welcome to the Inner Moxie Podcast. A podcast about not one, but two neurodivergent adults trying to live their life on the neuro D list and not hate themselves in the process. I'm your host, Ronnie.
And I'm Danny.
And this week, we took the Camouflaging Autistic Traits Questionnaire.
Bum, bum, bum.
Ba-dum-bum-bum.
All right. Moxie meter time.
It is. I'm actually doing much better this week, so I'm gonna pop it at a 4. It's been a pretty good week. I did, I got the chance to talk to my therapist, which was very helpful. Helped me put some stuff in line, put some boundaries in place, put some things in perspective. I'm not going to get into the whole session, but it was needs to say very helpful. And then, so that helped me even it out a bit. But what helped me take it a little over the top was one of my absolute favorite movie theater in the world is a place called, I don't know if I've tried to sell you on it, but it is a place called the Frida here in Orange County in Santa Ana. And they play, their whole gig is that they're a year-long festival. And so they play all kinds of like classic films and certain films that aren't getting played in heavy rotation in a lot of other markets and stuff like that. And they're just like a 2-theater theater. And they played, this probably won't mean much to you, but they played the new ultimate cut of Caligula. To go through like the shortest history I can on it, because it is one of my total nerd things. Caligula was basically this multi-million-dollar big budget adult film that came out, that started filming in the mid 70s, ended up coming out in Italy in 79, in America in 80. And it was kind of supposed to be this big push to legitimize film that is more adults, but it was starring like
Deep Throat?
No. This is like it was starring Malcolm McDowell and Helen Mirren, the guy from Clockwork.
Helen Mirren.
Yes.
Okay.
Back before she was Dame Helen Mirren. The guy from Clockwork Orange is Malcolm McDowell.
Okay. All right.
Peter O'Toole was in it.
Sounds like a tool.
But yeah, it was supposed to be like this. And when I say adult film, I mean like a literal push towards adult themed content about Caligula. Caligula Caesar was a famous Roman emperor that had kind of gone mad, and about his life. And basically the one that came out in the 70s, Bob Guccione, who owned Penthouse, who paid for the whole thing. He locked the director Tinto Brass out in like a coke-filled rage, which was just a thing he liked to do, was coke-filled rages. But like completely re-edited the movie, did some reshoots of like hardcore sex to add randomly into the middle of the film. And so a couple of years ago, or a few years ago now, they found about 90 hours worth of footage that had been shot, but that had been considered lost. And so they basically got together and recut the whole thing according to the original script by Gore Vidal. And it's just, I am an apologist for 79's Caligula. Like, I'm like, oh, there's, it bombed horribly. And with it, a lot of hopes and aspirations of ever seeing adult films next to, getting kind of adult films in the mainstream. But this recut of it was just, first of all, to see it after all of those and on the big screen. I would have watched the 79 one on the big screen just to get a chance to see it. But to see it recut and closer to kind of this original vision before Bob Guccione got his hands on it. And it was just, first of all, fucking awesome. I thought it was amazing. And I don't know, it's as a nerd, it was very specifically a movie for shit I am a nerd about. And it was like a very specific realm of nerdy shit that I am into. And so, yeah, that kind of put me over the edge. I'm still going off that high of getting that experience.
Great.
I was like, this going to be completely relatable to Zanny when I tell her about it. She's going to flip her lids.
Yeah, I was attending, listening.
No, you're doing a very good job. But yeah, so that's what got me smiling this week.
Okay.
How about you? How is your Moxie meter, the good old M&M?
My parents told me I could not have red M&Ms when I was 3. That's how they told me I was hyper. I've said this here before.
Because of the red dye.
Yes. But that's how they explained it to a 3-year-old.
I thought it was a different...
And then red was my favorite color for like 30 years. Okay.
And what good is a favorite color if you can't eat it?
Yeah. Double down on that shit.
That's why
I can't have red M&Ms. Fuck you. I'm going to have all the red in my entire life. Everything's red.
Right.
That's sorry. Not fuck you, Mom and Dad. That's not that's not it. That's not it.
Fuck you to the idea of authority.
Fuck the man. Okay. Today I might be a 7.75.
Okay.
Which, I mean, only because I feel tired. I did a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I also, this hives thing is very present.
You still haven't gotten relief from the hives?
Yes and no. So last Friday I hit my limit with it because like I can deal with it, but it reached like underneath my scalp,
mm-hmm.
and I was like I can't with no end in sight. Like I just need to talk to the doctor, so I did. Mm-hmm. And they put me on prednisone,
okay.
which is...
I thought you were going to say Prozac.
No. Prednisone, which is a steroid.
Okay.
So it kicks in...
I was going to say you're looking pretty buff.
Right? I mean, you can... If you're not... The people watching will not see it, but I can see a little definition. But not...
It's been a while. I can do a little bit of CG. I'll spice it up for you.
Please. So that like decreased it. It started getting better on Sunday. And then, I mean, it's a quick thing. So you get a lot of it the first 2 days and then it tapers off every day. So now today is like a day where I have 3 doses, and I woke up this morning and I had hives like all on the inside of like my legs. Cause I was like, I sleep hot. Like I'm just hot. And I like had my comforter like in between. Oops, I clapped.
That's good.
in between my legs, and I was like, "Is this it?" Because this can't be the thing. Because I've had this comforter since before this. Anyway, whatever. I'm just, my body is just doing what it needs to do. It something activated it. Probably the beach bugs and me not having my Zyrtec.
It was just the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah, but it's like I'm not even like mad at it. Like first of all, what can I do about it? Everything that I'm doing. I'm really trying to pay attention to the patterns. I talked to the doctor. I got calamine lotion spray. I'm doing the things that I know to do, and trusting that it'll go away, with time, and doubling up on the Zyrtec in the morning. I need to add one to my afternoon thing, actually, because I started feeling it again in the afternoon. Anyway, all that to say 7.75 because that was kind of like the lower end of the week, but still didn't deter me from having a great and fun time.
Yay.
Going,
that's good.
Yeah. So I did something last minute, which is so hard for me, which was go to Big Bear Saturday night.
Nice.
And I was in LA getting tattooed. And then my friend, she was like, "Oh, come with us." Da, 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 blah, blah, blah. Okay, fine. You know what? Fuck it. Why not? And realized 3 hours late, I missed our business meeting, and so did you. So
yeah,
no one showed up.
Yeah, but I wasn't even in Big Bear. I was just missing it at home.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's that. You know, it's.
What did you do up in Big Bear, if you don't mind my asking?
Oh, we just stayed at a cabin, you know, my friend's cabin.
I love cabins in Big Bear.
Yeah. Like we hunted for bugs, me and the kids, like the 6-year-old and the 3-year-old. Mm-hmm. You know, we looked for bugs in the backyard. He had this little, like vacuumy thing for them. And he couldn't, I think he maybe got one, but I mean, it's cute. And like the kids are cute.
Yeah. I caught like 7. Suck it, little kid.
Yeah. I was woken up at 8 a.m. by a screaming 3-year-old, but I was like, it's 8 a.m.
I know, that's sleeping in for you.
Oh my God. Yeah, it is. So that was even cool. And like, they're both so fun, but like the little one, he'll just like look up at me and say, "I love you, Auntie Anzaboo." Oh, so cute.
Auntie what?
Anzaboo. They call me Zanzaboo, but he dropped, he can't do the Z to start it, or I don't know. Anyway, it's just fun.
It's a cute name. I like Anzaboo.
Yeah, Zanzaboo is funny too. Anyway, it was cute. It's nice to be around kids and then not be around them afterwards.
I get that.
Yeah. So yeah.
That's a very respectable approach to take.
So that's not housekeeping.
Housekeeping. I will say, this is just a quick correction. Last week we had a very hard time identifying what song that was the song that Celine Dion that got put on.
It's all coming back to me now.
Ironically enough, it's all coming back to me.
I know.
The second I figured it out and put it together with that we both couldn't remember, it's all coming back to me. I was like, I
mean, that's a good one. If you're my friend and I'm in some RSD fit, if you put that on, I can't not laugh. Like it's so ridiculous and it just makes me smile.
I'm trying to remember. Was that the one they put on Deadpool?
I don't know. I don't remember music from that movie. That was a question, I guess. Mine, I have a confession.
Confess.
Well, you all heard it. I was so adamant that I did not allude to Land Before Time as a Disney movie, and the first time I mentioned it, I didn't, but the second time I did. So I fucked up.
That's okay.
I misremembered my own self, so sorry. I can own it. I mean, the proof is there. There's no denying it. If I were to do that is some serious cognitive dissonance shit.
I mean, let's say I don't know, pick a year out of the air. 2016, maybe. You couldn't just deny stuff, apparently, that was recorded. But now I guess you just can. Oh. So you would have been fine. I appreciate you correcting yourself. Well, I was willing to let it go.
I know, but I doubled down so hard, and it was so stupid. Like, I really didn't think I did it, but I did it. Mm-hmm. You know, it is what it is.
Memories weird like that sometimes.
It was instantaneous. Short-term memory is fucked up.
It is like, shit. I wish I remembered the exact. I saw this demonstration once. And I forget what the demonstration was, but like literally within a couple of minutes, not like life-changing stuff, but they asked you to like look at a list of certain words and, memorize and write down as many as you can. And they were like, oh, okay, how many people wrote down X word? And a bunch of people raised their hand. And they're like, yeah, that word wasn't there. But the other words just kind of suggested it. And so like it showed, at least me, it's been a like, oh, memory means nothing.
Well, memory, but that is also, so that reminds me, like if you see the first and last few letters of a word, your brain kind of makes up the middle if it doesn't like go through the whole thing. And that sounds a little bit like that too.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I guess it's just our brain is such an amazing machine for interpreting the world. That sometimes I think we give it a little too much credit of like that like, oh, I very specifically remember this. And it's like, yeah, well, your brain made that up. Not because you're a psychopath, but because it happens to all of us every day.
Yeah. Well, brains are thought machines. Like that's their job. I mean, not their only job, but thoughts come from somewhere, and you don't have to attach to things or agree with them, but the brain just keeps churning shit out, you know, and you latch onto whatever you latch onto. Mm-hmm. Learning about that. Anyway, I'm so hot right now. I thought menopause was over, but apparently it is not.
I know. This is off topic as well. I used to go to roller derby a lot, and roller derby is one of those things like burlesque where you get to pick new names that are super fun, and I love that. And I do remember they had one guy who filmed it, and his name was Manopause. Because it's also because pause like pausing.
Oh yeah.
So it was
the Manopause.
I was like that pulls it all together. Yeah. I think that was a really clever name.
Yeah.
Manopause.
That's fun. Yeah. If no one understands what I'm talking about though, I legit went through menopause because they took my ovaries as well. And the ovaries are the things that tell your body you're not or you are. They produce a lot of hormones for females.
I did not think of that because I knew that they had, and by they, of course, we're talking about small elven creatures that come from the woods. Yeah. Came out and stole your ovaries. Mm-hmm. I did not know that menopause would be a side effect of that. It makes sense when you say it.
Yes.
Like it totally does.
Why would you absorb that information? Your mom probably didn't talk about it. No, I don't know. But the doctor went over that with me and because I had the choice to get them removed and I was like, take them. And he was like, think about it. I'm like, why would I want that? I don't want to sit there in limbo and then all of a sudden in 15 years be like, oh, here we go. Like I just get it out. Just be done. I want to be done.
Yeah.
So, but the uterus had no choice. That had to go. All right. Well, today we are talking about, we took a quiz called the CAT-Q. It measures, camouflaging in autistic people according to this tool, but, masking in general. So, it was nice. It didn't take very long. And that is exactly what I needed because of my little spur of the moment trip. I got behind on life, which was fine. I caught up yesterday.
Yeah. It's you got to take those times from time to time.
I got to have fun. I was told I need to have more fun.
For
real fun, not just like, okay, I'm going to go do this. Check. That's how that's how I was trying to do fun, which is not fun. Mm-hmm. Anyway, I'm learning.
Good for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Am I? That's what I think every time someone says that.
Oh, are you welcome? That took me a second. I got there. Okay,
so this is something that you can get on embrace-autism.com.
I got to say, one of the things that I did really like about this test, and I didn't notice it till at the end, when it breaks down the results by male and female, it also threw in non-binary, which I thought, good job on the representation quiz. We're already starting off better than Borat's dickhead cousin or whatever.
Yeah. The Earl of...
I'm sorry. Sir Borat's dickhead cousin. Or I guess Borat's dickhead sir cousin. I don't know.
Sir Simon...
Baron Cohen.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so... Do you want to say the total score you got, or should we save that for the end? I don't know.
No, let's go for it. Let's compare our scores.
Okay. What'd you get?
Sorry, they would not let me do the download of the thing, so I just had to leave my test up. So I have to scroll down to it. There's an option to download it as a PDF afterwards, which is what you have, I can see. Much easier to do it, but here we are. Score. There we go. My total was 120.
Okay. So you're in the autistic range, and so am I. I got 124, which is the exact average for female autistics that take this test. And the average for male on the autism scale is 109.
That's what I saw.
Oh, yeah, duh, you can see it.
And the average for non-binary is 122.
Yep.
Which is technically what my score was closest to.
Mm-hmm.
So, all of my non-binary sibs out there. Not that I'm not non-binary. I am, in fact, a cis man. But we're close. Autistic, non-binary sibs.
Yeah.
In the humanity sense.
Yeah. And it's funny, I've taken this before and my score was like 140. But that was before I was consciously unmasking in real time in life, not just here, not just, in safe-ish spaces, just in every space. I do feel that is about these tests in general. And this one wasn't as bad. It still had some of that stuff of like, I always wonder what my score would be if I took it the next day. Or even if I took it half an hour from now when I didn't remember what I put on the last one. I always wonder how close it would be. I mean, I feel like it'd be relatively close. They give you plenty of options. Like the
That's
problem
true.
that we have with a lot of these is like there's 4. So there's no middle ground. But this had like 7 or something. I don't remember.
Yeah, well, it had strongly disagree, somewhat disagree, neither agree or disagree, somewhat agree, and strongly disagree.
Yeah, so lots of options, which is what we like.
Although I feel like the last test I spent all the time complaining about how there's no middle option. Mm-hmm. Now that I had one, I used it like twice.
I mean, you don't have to go in the middle all the time, but it's nice to have the choice. Okay, so let's just go over this one by one, shall we?
Let's do it.
Okay, number 1. When I am interacting with someone, I deliberately copy their body language or facial expressions. I
put disagree. I put disagree. How about you?
Okay, I put somewhat agree. I think it's, for this question, I was thinking about how I learned how to behave. But also, I think I unintentionally and consciously mimic what's going on in a situation. And it feels more of like not like a chameleon, like I have no personality, but like I'm adjusting to whatever situation I'm in, but I am picking up those clues and following suit a little bit. So that's why I said somewhat agree.
No, that makes sense. I literally thought it is just like you licked your lips right now, and that I would be like, because I saw you do it.
I don't like that at all.
I'm sorry. It was just
I don't like. I don't know. RSD. I think it's because I don't like the sound that I didn't realize I did it. But
everybody licks their lips.
I know. Yes, they do. I don't like the sound of mouth saliva movement when it's loud. There's a thing, I don't know what it's called, but I'm like, I borderline have that. But I think it was just like low grade trauma from people in my life just chewed very specifically. And it was something that I never said out loud till right now, but it really was hard for like the first 20 years. I don't know.
No, I get that.
It's not everybody. Like I can eat with people and not be grossed out, but and I knew how to, like I was like, there's nothing these people can do about this. Like I just need to let it go. And I did as a kid even, but it just is something that I just couldn't get over like internally.
I believe it is somewhat of a stereotype of ADHD folk to be extra sensitive to loud chewing and chewing noises in general. Okay. And by extension, I guess, mouth noises in general.
I mean, chewing is a big part of it, but like even like the mouth noise, like I don't like that sound. Like anyway, we don't need to talk about it. And that was not meant towards you at all.
No.
It just, I mean, if I don't narrate what's going on, how would you know?
That's true. It's absolutely true.
Okay. Number 2, I monitor my body language or facial expressions so that I appear relaxed.
Again, I put disagree, and I didn't put strongly disagree on any of these because I could see it maybe happening, but it would be at such an almost unconscious level that I don't notice I'm doing it. But like if somebody came up and was like, look at you, mimicking somebody's facial expressions. I guess you couldn't really show me evidence of this one. I wouldn't be like, no, there's no way. I'd be like, oh, but I couldn't really think of me having ever done it. And I can't think of me monitoring my body language or facial expressions. So I appear relaxed. If anything else, when I'm talking to people, I'm just thinking about so many things. I don't know that appearing relaxed comes up on there.
Same. I put disagree also. Yeah. Because
twinsies.
Yeah, I definitely don't monitor my body language to appear relaxed. Like, it's not something that I've paid attention to, and I guess this doesn't give a lot of context. So maybe this means when you're in the presence of other people or not. But like, I'm always reacting to whatever I'm thinking about, regardless of what's going on in a situation. Or they can happen at the same time, because with ADHD, I have that very special ability to just multitask like 50 things at the same time. 3 or 4 things very well.
The ADHD spider that bit me did not pass along that ability.
Okay.
I'm very single thing at a time.
Right. And I do recognize that. It is markedly different. Like, I was always, like, you're not even watching the TV. And I'm like, just like, but I'm also doing this other thing, because otherwise I can't pay attention to anything. Like, I have to be doing a few things at a time. That's why I can't go to the movie theater and stay awake.
I was going to say, it's slightly different, but I think maybe in like the same ballpark. I know I am much better at certain tasks if I have external stimuli. I am much better at washing the dishes if I have an audiobook going. Otherwise, it's very, very hard for me to do stuff like that. But there are cases where I do need that external stimuli. Yeah. Especially, I think, if it's something mindless, like driving without a radio on or some kind of thing on, that makes it more difficult for me for some reason. Actually, just sitting and listening to an audiobook without doing something else, something that I can do pretty like driving or washing the dishes or something like that. That just sitting and doing that is a little bit harder for me. So sometimes I need.
I don't know why a person would just sit and listen to an audiobook. And if you do this, listeners, I'm sorry. I just don't understand. Like, just read it. I mean, that's what I would do. But that's because I can do a few things at the same time. I can read it, reread it. I can manipulate and like squeeze. I like to squeeze like the pages and like feel the pages between my fingers. I like that. Yeah.
And I totally get all that. And when times are good, I can do some reading. But when times aren't so good, if I sit down to read, I am one of those people that will read for 10 pages and just go, what the fuck happened on these 10 pages? Oh. Is there what? Where? It's like time traveling.
I didn't mean to sound judgy. I'm sorry.
No, not at all.
That's not what I meant.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't take it as judgy.
Okay.
So I'm saying I totally get the like just read. But like also there's sometimes like I know I used to put on audiobooks when I did platelet donation, and that takes like 3 hours, and I can't move my arm, so couldn't read. But there'll also be times where it's like I just want to lay down for a while. And I guess you could lay down and read, but
I mean, okay, I guess. But you're also trying to just lay down and relax. Like, I'm just imagining someone just going to the table or like their desk or the couch and just sitting and listening to a book. Yeah. Like, I just can't. Maybe people do that, and maybe they should, because that's what they like to do. I don't know. That's just one thing. I am a fan of whichever way you can take in information or art or anything. Choose that way to take it in. Find that way. Like I know there is, and this obviously was not what you were saying at all. But there are a certain subset of people that's like, well, if you didn't actually read it, then you didn't read it, and as I actually read Nosferatu by Joe Hill. Thank you. And it had a little interview section with him at the end. Obviously it was the audiobook. And so they asked him about, what do you think about audiobooks? And he's like, honestly, I can't think of a more human experience than getting a story read to you. And I was like, that is such a beautiful way to put that. Also, this is how
how keen I pick up on things. I did not know that Joe Hill was Stephen King's son. Mm-hmm. And they were...
Even I know.
I know. Well, and they were asking him about it at the end of the book. And it's like, so what turned you on to writing? He's like, well, obviously, my dad writes. And I was like, his dad must feel pretty stupid that his son is getting more famous than him. Like literally. And then I saw a picture of him and I was like, holy crap, he looks like Stephen King. And then I saw a picture of him with Stephen King and I was like, oh, Joe Hill's really running with that I look like Stephen King thing. And then it wasn't till like a month later somewhere it got referenced and I was like, holy shit. And like all of the pieces came together right there.
Somehow the pieces fit.
But I just so missed that obvious thing in front of my face so many times.
Yeah. I mean, his pseudonym doesn't help. Maybe that's his name. I don't know.
Joe Hill? Mm-hmm. I think it's Joe King or Joseph King.
Or maybe Stephen King is the one with the pseudonym. I don't know, and I don't care to find out, to be honest. All right, number 3. I rarely feel the need to put on an act in order to get through a social situation.
I put strongly disagree because I'm a psychopath.
Yeah, an act is, I think, too strong of a word, but I definitely pull on a persona.
Yeah.
And a lot of scripts, and if I can get a job during this party or whatever social situation or like have a purpose other than just like attendance, then that's even better.
Well, and too, like, and this is part of the just of the specificity that comes down. I don't exactly know what social situation means. Like I was like, I don't know, is social situation like what we're doing now?
Yes.
Or social situation versus like a party, because those are two that's going to come out in different ways. You know what I mean?
That's true. I was thinking more of like bigger groups.
Yeah.
Or, at work, it is very easy because I have a role there and my role is whatever it is. And so like that influences how I interact in whatever scenario happens there. So it is a lot easier, but it is still, I mean, again, act I think is a weird word, but it's definitely the part I play.
Actually, I don't even think act is a weird word for me.
Okay.
I think put on an act is a little more like that feels like, I don't know.
I mean, if I didn't do this, I mean, put on an act is a weird thing, I guess. But like, if I didn't play that part, I would prefer to slink into a corner and watch and like talk to a few people and just kind of like gradually like open up like that. Like that's how I'd prefer to be in a social situation as my comfort level increases, which it's not easy even at work when I know everybody or even, like I just am like, nope, this is my role. This is my job. So I just act as if. And sometimes that helps, honestly, because then I have a better time, probably. I don't think putting on an act is always bad. And it doesn't even feel untrue to myself.
I was going to say, I take away the neurodiversity for a moment. I don't think there's many people roaming through this world on pure id in all social situations.
I don't think they should. I mean, I think that could get interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, true story. Okay, number 4, I've developed a script to follow in social situations.
The strongest degrees of agrees.
I put somewhat.
I spend an unuseful amount of time scripting out how different conversations can go. Sometimes having imaginary arguments with people. Just so much time trying to create this like insane what do you call those diagrams where it's the multiple
Venn diagram?
No, the like, oh, if you say yes, you go down
decision
this
tree.
Yeah, just insane decision trees of all the ways conversations can go. When I know I'm going to be talking to someone, it just
I mean, I do the same thing, but it's not necessarily, or at least I don't associate it with actually preparing for it, because I do know that when I'm in the moment, the shit that comes out of my mouth is the stuff that is supposed to. But I mean, I do think about things. It feels not fantasy is a weird word, but like, it feels like make believe, but it feels playful or fun. But I'm thinking about it. But it doesn't feel like scripting necessarily, because I'm not like, oh, I'm gonna say this. I guess I imagine things, but it's not all the time. That's why I put somewhat agree for myself, because I mean, people are so blown away when they figure out, or I tell them, or they somehow find out that I am just not 100% comfortable in my skin all the time, because I guess I mask it up pretty well.
And you know what? This should be some level of you should be proud of that. You're doing well. It may not be the thing that you need or want, but it's an ability you've grown, and I think that is going to be useful when learning how to deconstruct that. Yeah,
for sure. I mean, okay, the big boss at work, I heard him. We had a summer party like a month ago, and he was telling someone something, and he was like, "Oh, well, Zandy's not shy, blah 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 blah," and I was like, I love that you think that. I really, really do. I actually can be quite shy. I'm also in this like convergence of time and space where I'm just being myself, and I really do feel comfortable in my skin a little bit more, and I feel like I know myself more, and I feel like I do have like a real genuine confidence now, and can speak to my abilities and my flaws realistically.
You come off pretty confident, if nothing else.
Oh, I know. That's partially I feel like I've come off like that in most scenarios my entire life, but it's not always been the case. But now it's congruent, and maybe that's okay. That, you know, I mean, I don't have everything figured out, but I feel good. Nice. But yeah, no, people kind of just are like, really? You don't, blah, blah, blah. No, I am so weird in my head, but I try not to engage it all the time, because that's not going to help me. Right. If I'm like, you know what, I'm going to act so weird in this situation, like, of course I'm going to act weird in that situation, because I believe that. Right. I've told myself that that's what's going to happen, and I, you know, double down on it, I guess. I don't know. I mean, I feel like a lot of people do that. Yeah. Okay, let's move on. Number 5, I will repeat phrases that I've heard others say in the exact same way I first heard them.
I put neither agree or disagree, because I have never even thought to look for that, and I couldn't think of an example, but it wouldn't shock me if there were plenty.
Oh, I put strongly agree.
Oh yeah.
I not even like, oh, I'm gonna say this just like they said it in the office. It's just it just comes out that way. Like I've noticed a lot of the things that I say, at least at the beginning, like if someone says something, like I feel like, okay, I've downloaded the entire Office series into my head, and I can whip one of those things out like when anyone says anything, and I say it exactly how it's said, and sometimes it just feels like an inside joke with myself, and
the millions of Office fans around the world,
if they knew what I was doing,
right? They just don't happen to be in there with you right there.
Right. But it's more prevalent than I even thought, is all.
You know, it's weird, and I'd still keep mine the same. I didn't even think to go to media, though. I was only thinking like other physical people.
Oh. I mean, other people too. Like I hear things and they go in that way, and hearing, or like, I don't know what the word is, audio, whatever. Like I am very good at learning. What do you call that?
I don't know.
Audiology is like the study of the ear. Okay. Whatever. However the information comes in through my ears. We'll housekeep this next
Hearing?
time. I learn very well that way. So when things get implanted that way,
sonically.
Okay.
Is that what you're thinking?
I don't know.
Of? I mean, Sonic is relating to sound.
He's also a
cute Blue Hedgehog. The trailer for part 3 dropped today, and it was amazing.
Okay, I am not watching those things.
Good, more for me.
Yep.
Because that's how they do it.
Yep.
Only so many watches.
Yeah. So like, however it goes in, that's how it comes out when I use it.
Okay.
Anyway, that's all. Sonic. Okay, number 6. I adjust my body language or facial expression so that I appear interested by the person I am interacting with.
I put neither agree nor disagree for the exact same reason as before.
Oh, I put somewhat agree because sometimes it's mostly when I'm really not interested, but I need to be paying attention.
I will say there are times, and I could bump that to some. I could see a somewhat agree there, where I'm like, oh, remember to nod, remember to say okay, remember to say, oh yeah.
Yeah, when I'm really just like waiting for this clock to be over.
Honestly, sometimes it's not even that. Sometimes it's and that does happen. But sometimes it's like I'm trying to figure out what you said 10 minutes ago.
Oh.
And so I'm like, yeah. And it's like, what did this, or like, what was this person's name?
Yeah. I mean, when that happens for me, it's usually things that, okay, I'm like, my brain is like, all right, we don't need to remember this stuff, but we need to pay attention because that's polite and you don't want to hurt people's feelings, or at least I don't. And also, I mean, I catch things later too, sometimes thinking about it, but yeah, that's usually it. And I feel bad. Like, I don't feel like everyone is always interested in what I have to say, and I don't expect that. So
right.
I feel like this is something that a lot of people do. It's not just like a NeuroD thing.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's going to be a lot of the stuff on here.
Sure.
I think it's going to come down to like the losing your keys thing of like,
yeah.
Oh yeah, I always lose my keys from time to time. It's like I spend 50% of my life looking for my fucking keys. For me, it's my water bottle because my keys are always in my pocket.
Okay. For me, it's my phone a lot because I put it on silent and I refuse to change that.
Yeah.
All right. Number 7. In social situations, I feel like I'm performing rather than being myself.
I would somewhat agree to that.
Same.
And it's going, and again, I think that where that social situation comes up is going to be, or what the social situation is going to be, is going to depend on, is going to change that answer. So somewhat agree was kind of my best summation of everything.
Yeah.
But like even down to like, when I'm not gonna be my fucking self when I get pulled over by the cops. That's not a time for the real Ronnie. That's a time for, being very, whereas I would put even like disagree or somewhat disagree for this podcast because I'm trying to be truthful and open and I'm with someone I consider a friend. Mm-hmm. And so that's a much different situation. And so I think, and I don't want to put it on because this does seem like, you can find a thing, but it also, it's going to be the social situation. The answer is going to depend on what the social situation is.
Yes, agree. I think I conceptualize this as bigger event type things, not one-on-one interactions or like close friend interactions.
Yeah.
But I mean, when you're getting to know someone, there's a little bit of this, not necessarily performing, but just like, I don't know. I tend to feel awkward sometimes a lot. And
sometimes a lot is a great way. I'm just awkward sometimes all the time.
Yeah. And maybe it's not obvious. I don't think it is actually. I think that this confident speaking person is just my baseline outside of myself, but that's not how I see it. But I definitely feel like, I mean, again, performing is a weird word, but, trying to communicate myself clearly because the people who know me understand how I am. And I know I can come off a little rude, extremely direct, which makes people very uncomfortable. So I think I do think it's part of my personality. I am a giggler because I do think things are generally funny. And while not everything's lighthearted, I do tend to find the humor in things, but also it kind of offsets some of that real direct stuff that really could get under someone's skin. And luckily that has worked throughout my entire life because people tend to take it better. But yeah, I mean, I've freaked some people out before with just being I don't know, direct to the point. I don't want to make it pretty or make it palatable for you. I don't know. Yeah. It's not even about that. It's just like, I don't want to say 100 words for 10 that need to be said. I just don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Like it's a waste to me.
No, I think you're right with that. It's, yeah, I mean, I agree. Sometimes I get where it can be hard to come out and say things, and, you know, balance that thing of not wanting to hurt people. But yeah, sometimes directness is just the best way to go.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and I think it's a little genetic for me, but, yeah, like I really, really don't want to hurt people's feelings.
Yeah.
Even though sometimes it's unavoidable and not my intention, but, and I think that's like for everybody. It's just not something I want to do. I don't like it when people hurt my feelings.
Right.
You know, and I don't want to inflict that on other people. Like that's kind of that golden rule thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and too, I've never felt good about hurting somebody else's feelings. It's not, yeah.
I've done it and instantaneously extreme remorse, and then I'll apologize a lot. Like, and not, it wasn't even like intentional.
Yeah. There's been a couple of times for me, I won't lie, that it's been intentional. Okay. That doesn't come lightly, and I don't like it. I don't like it afterwards, but if it got to the point where I like thought out something mean to say to you, then, you know, lines were crossed. I tried to resolve it with kinder language first.
Yeah.
So I generally don't regret that because it wasn't something I did lightly. Okay. The stuff I do lightly, usually, like just, and I think I've talked about it before. I used to have a real bad habit of firing back at jokes with just a much higher cruelty level than what was sent at me. And that's no good. Those I always regretted.
Yeah. Well, I did that too when I was younger, and my best friend called it the hate game, and she really hated it. And sorry, Natalie, I love you. She forgives me now. I know. Aww. She doesn't hold this against me, but yeah, I would just take it a little far. And she has an easier time showing her softer side. That's how I will say that. I have one. I just really don't like to show it.
I know.
Okay.
I think that's actually, we brought this up on the show before. I think that was actually, it was a dumb luck thing that the conversation went the way it did, but it was either the first or second time we met. We started talking about Neverending Story, and like I almost made you cry, I had to change the subject. And, but like,
I didn't know I was going to cry about Rockbiter, to be honest.
Oh, Rockbiter. But yeah, and so like I don't know. I just feel like I got exposed to that, and that's not something that happens a lot. It's never happened since, but I just got exposed to it pretty early on, so I don't.
Right, you didn't have that.
I can conceptualize where other people think that about you, but it wasn't a thing for me because early on, I and I don't think like I crossed any lines or anything like that. I just accidentally stepped into a place that had a reaction you didn't expect come through. Although I stand by my point that the saddest part of the Neverending Story is Rockbiter dying, not Atreyu and Artax going into the swamps of sadness.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about this on here, but reading the book, that was not a dramatic scene. That was like, well, I'm stuck. You gotta go. Okay, thanks, buddy. Bye. Like that's basically how that read, versus like all the drama and the horror in the movie. Okay, let's move on. We got too close to the soft side. I gotta toughen up. All right. Number 8. In my own social interactions, I use behaviors. I hate the European spelling of behaviors.
I also hate Europe.
Okay.
I don't hate Europe.
Okay. I neither here nor there. I am neutral. Okay. In my own social interactions, I use behaviors that I have learned from watching other people interacting.
First of all, technically it is there, not here. because you said neither here nor there, but it's Europe, so it is technically there, not here.
I went with the saying, not the literalness. I don't know what I say. I strongly agree with this, though.
In my own social interactions, I use behavior to learn from watching other people interact. I put somewhat agree. But I didn't go further than that because I'm like, I guess I was like, isn't that how all human beings learn though, is by watching other human beings?
Yes, but I have distinct memories of forming these things from watching it versus it being natural.
Okay.
Yeah. Over many different scenarios, not just like, oh, that's how you do that. Okay, I got it. Move on. Like that happens all the time.
Right.
And that happened all the time. I can remember some of this stuff even when I was little, which that's kind of like when you're learning things naturally, you know, and you're not thinking about the process of learning this thing.
Right. Oh, I guess that is the awareness of what you're doing might be more. That makes sense. I still stick with somewhat agree. Okay. That still works for me.
Yeah, that's great. Okay.
Thank you. I tried really hard.
I'm proud of you. Number 9, I always think about the impression I make on other people. I agree.
I agree with that. Yeah. I very rarely walk away from, especially having just met somebody, not going like, how did I do to myself, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I think for me, I don't even know if that's my question. Like, how did I do? Because I usually kill it. Oh my God. I am a narcissist. No, I'm not. It's just to say that out loud feels weird. But I do, I think about whatever this new interaction is, whoever this new person is, if it's made an impression on me. Now, whether I take any of this personally is another matter entirely. You know, if it didn't go well, sometimes I'll beat myself up. I'm really trying to implement new strategies, though, to where, you know what? I did my best and I'm going to let it go. Like, that's where I'm trying to get. Right. If it doesn't go well. But usually I'm like, I do think about how that went. I felt this way. Did this person feel this way? Like, I don't know, but I feel like it did. Like, popping myself out of the scenario and watching it from up here as I'm experiencing it, it seemed to be good. It seemed to go well. So I think about that part. So I don't know if that's impression. Probably. Yeah.
I guess, and I don't know, this may be knocking on the door of my anxiety a little bit. I have that hard time trusting myself that something went well. Oh. I have to know somebody pretty well to start trusting them on that they weren't just being polite to me. And a lot of that's my inner demons that may have other things to do with other things. Sure. But yeah, that's kind of where I land with it.
I see. I mean, I think that we had a lot different experiences formatively. You know, people generally tend to like me. So even without thinking about it, that history walks with me into new situations, you know?
You know what's weird though? People generally tend to like me too. Oh. I think if I were to look at it pretty objectively, I've had pretty good feedback as me as a human being from most people. I have some people I could definitely say would not be fond of me. But most part, I wouldn't say I was looked on particularly negatively, but that weird demon's just always in my head.
Okay. I mean, that's the thing too. All right. Number 10, I need the support of other people in order to socialize. I disagreed because I'm answering as myself now. That was not the case for a very long time.
I need support of other people or in order to socialize. I put somewhat agree. Again, it's going to depend on the situation.
I mean, I've talked about parties. A friend of mine has several parties a year and I always just go stag and it used to be really hard. Because I used to really need someone that would be devoted to me as a conversation buddy
Mm-hmm.
to fall back on instead of having to go and like initiate, which I'm in a different space now. That gets easy and difficult depending on like what I'm going through personally.
I'm starting to move into that space.
Mm-hmm.
I took my first baby steps at the burlesque party I went to. That was not something I could have done a couple of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But also, by that, I'm not readily hopping into those situations all the time yet either. So,
yeah, it's like if I know I can't get out of something, then I have to, I had to MC this last work party so hard. That's
wait,
also
you had to MC.
Okay, MC is the wrong word. I had to be the face and talk on a microphone a lot.
Oh yeah, master of ceremonies.
Yeah, but like also say other things. It wasn't, I mean, not that just being an MC, but like I had to give like the actual content versus like introductions to it. Like I mean, it was not a big deal, but like talking in front of people had always been a big problem for me. Really nervous, but now it doesn't seem to be, and I can't explain. It's self-confidence. I got it. That's how I know, because I wasn't like freaking the fuck out up there.
Yeah. I don't know what it is. In the few situations where I have had to talk to crowds of people, I've never had like a large crowd of people, but I do really well in that. I don't know why that is, that I'm better at that than I am talking individually one-on-one.
Maybe because they don't have to talk back to you.
But even then, it was during like one of the biggest examples I remember is one of our films went to the Big Bear Film Festival.
Oh, fun.
A film called Hello and Goodbye. No, I'm sorry. A film called Before the Lights Come Up, which is actually a really great film. And our director, Mark, couldn't make it. And so I became, it was two of the actors and me as in my capacity as a producer on the film. And yeah, it was Q&A and I was answering the questions, but it was literally like one person would ask and then I would answer.
Nice. Well, good.
Yeah. It's a weird thing about me, I guess.
Hey, take it.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 11. I practice my facial expressions and body language to make sure they look natural.
I put somewhat agree.
I just put neither.
Yeah, I was going to put neither. And then I was like, you know what, though? I don't know if it's practicing to see if they look natural. I know that I have looked in myself in the mirror and made different facial expressions and then judged them. So, not like judge them, but judge them for accurate. It was like, oh, does that seem like... Does that face you're making match the emotion that you want to give to somebody who said a certain thing? I don't know a way better to describe it than that.
Okay.
And then it's not something I ever mean to do. I don't take time out of my day, but if I find myself in front of a mirror, I might be like, oh, does this, I feel I make this face sometimes. What does it look like? Is that something that I mean to be doing? And so I said somewhat. That's where my somewhat comes from on that one.
I mean, in a mirror, sometimes I just want to see how my eyebrows move. But I don't do that in conversations. So I think it's just a weird thing about me. And it's not every time. I don't really like mirrors that much. And I don't think it has to do with not wanting to look at myself. I think it's more of just like...
Because I'm at selfie mode on the camera all day long.
Oh, yeah. you know me and my social media is just popping
You don't
off.
have to post them. You don't have to post them. You could just take them for you.
I know what I look like. Why would I want that? Yeah, no. Mirrors aren't the weirdest thing in the world to me, but I don't make eye contact with myself in the mirror because I feel like that scenario is just so weird, right? Because eye contact is a whole other topic. But like, I feel like if I were to make eye contact with myself, like I would just be looking back and forth at myself until the end of time. Like it just feels really expansive and weird, and I just don't enjoy that thought. So
that is literally the story of Medusa.
Is it?
Yeah, because that's Medusa. If you look into her eyes, you turn to stone, and that's how they got her. They held up a mirror, and she looked into it, and she turned to stone.
Oh,
or I think it was a very shiny shield, maybe.
Okay.
But something reflective, and she turned to stone.
Okay.
So it is a reasonable fear to have, I guess.
Yeah, I don't even know if it's a fear. It's just like I don't want to get stuck in that loop. It just feels like a really big overthinking thing.
if sometimes I will stare into the mirror and I will look away and try and see me look away. But you can the only option to see yourself in the mirror is to look at yourself in the mirror, because you can't see your eyes looking a different direction. Though I try, but you understand.
I do. This is a very telling conversation about two people that are probably on the spectrum talking about mirrors, because it is a thing for this
I have
population.
Lost 3 days to that. But no.
I mean, I used to catch clients all the time, like even there's in the reflection of a TV screen that's not on, just like, like looking, like lots of times.
Parents used to make fun of me so much because I had just at night, we had windows in our kitchen. We ate in our kitchen. And they would be reflective, and I would just look at myself in the mirror, and they're like, or not the mirror, but I'd just look at my reflections like, oh, what, are you in love with yourself? And I never really was. I just I don't know. There was something about seeing something reflected back at me. I didn't trust him. You know what it is? It was a right-handed Ronnie, and I did not like that.
Okay. I mean, you figured it out. All right. Number 12. I don't feel the need to make eye contact with other people if I don't want to. I put somewhat agree.
I put neither agree or disagree.
I feel like I have to do it a lot at work. I feel like it's something that I've just practiced so much, but if I really just take all the things away, take the masking off, all of it, I don't feel like I need to make eye contact with someone to understand what they're saying. In fact, I feel that is just a lot of pressure. My preferred way to talk to someone is side by side, preferably outside. Mm-hmm. I don't people think it's weird when okay, you go and you see, some people at a restaurant sitting next to each other, the ones that are not all over each other, because that's something else.
Yeah.
I get that. I would like that. I don't know. Why do I need to stare at you? Because that's what is expected. Mm-hmm. I don't really want to watch someone else eat either, because I just already talked about my weirdness.
Although, would that put their mouth sounds closer to your ears?
Maybe, but not everyone has bad mouth sounds.
By the way, some band somewhere has to name an album Bad Mouth Sounds.
I'll tell my friend Meg. She has a band called The Trash Clams.
Ooh, that is a good name. That is a really good name. Yeah. Is it an all-girl band?
I think so. That is definitely a lesbian band.
That is a spectacular name. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like Need was doing weird lifting in that sentence for me. Part of it is too, I don't know. Need and want to screwed me up, because I don't know how often I don't want to make eye contact with people. I just feel weird doing it. But that's kind of social anxiety or just shyness or whatever like that. It's the weird dichotomy of oh, well, you don't have to talk to people if you don't want to. And it's well, I do want to talk to people. I just have a really hard time doing it. And so I think that kind of the same way with eye contact of I would like to make eye contact with people. I don't have anything against eye contact with people. I guess that's it. I don't have anything against eye contact with people. Mm-hmm. It's just hard for me sometimes.
Yeah.
And so the difference, that it just left me in a weird spot. That's why I did neither disagree or agree, because I couldn't really make heads or tails of the need and the want to aspect of that question.
I mean, I think for me, the need is if you don't make eye contact, then it is noticeable and people expect it. So that to me is where the need came from. And sometimes I really don't want to. Like,
right.
there are people that I've figured out that I don't want to make eye contact with people that I don't respect at all. I don't want to open up any communicative something. Like, and I feel like eye contact is one of those things that, you know, if you make eye contact with someone that you're not talking to, they might start talking to you.
Right.
Stuff like that. I don't know. But I do think it's expected, and I do not want to always, I just don't always want to deal with that fallout. So like if I'm out at a store or something, I'll just do it. You know, I'll do the expected thing, but those are scripts.
Right.
Okay. 14. I have tried to improve my understanding of, hold on.
I think we skipped
13. I have to force myself to interact with people when I'm in social situations. Somewhat agree.
I put strongly agree. Yeah. Which again, not because I don't want to, actually because I wouldn't go through the trouble of forcing myself to talk to people I didn't want to talk to. And this is a big shout out to my good friend Ray. When I went to that burlesque party, which is probably the last party thing I went to, I literally Googled what to do beforehand and had all of these things laid out. But one of the other things I did, and they weren't even on the phone right then. I think they were off doing something else, which is totally respectful. But I sent them a text message. I was like, look, I'm just kind of, this is going to be big. So I am going to be texting you throughout the night about this. Just like, you do not even feel pressured to answer. If you don't see this till 2 a.m., that is not a problem. I have to have someone there to talk to while I'm going through this in some way. And I knew that they would be there for that. So
yeah.
So thank you, Ray.
Oh, good job, Ray. Way to be there for Ronnie. I do have to force myself because I don't have that problem. I know what to do. I'm not always in the mood. And this is, again, thinking of bigger social situations, not that's small, like friend, comfort, whatever. Not that. But even then, like if I was just like, you know what, I'm just going to go lay down in a bed in this place, my people would say, okay, do what you do.
Right.
But yeah, in a bigger social situation, I do have to force myself to interact because what the problem is for me that makes it kind of unbearable is I can hear every conversation and it's all coming in at the same time. And it is really difficult to figure out which one I should join and then figure out how to tune out the other one so that I can join this other one, which is why I just would like to go be a wallflower for a little bit until I can get my bearings.
Right.
And that's not always possible. So that's kind of what that is about for me. Like, it's just so overwhelming. People bring energy with them wherever they go. Anyway. And, the fact that, in a big social situation, unless, someone is on a stage and everyone is paying attention, like people are, all in little groups talking. And, it's really overwhelming on a sensory level for me.
Yeah, no, I get that. So, I get that a lot.
Yeah. And showing that in those moments is the weird thing that I don't want to single myself out in those moments either. So this is where masks are helpful.
Yeah.
So I do have a persona that I can, lean into a little bit because it's part of my personality. And as I said, I know how to do it. It's just I have to make myself do it because I don't want to, the option is not to go crawl into the corner right now until I can deal. Anyway. All right. Now we can go to 14. I have tried to improve my understanding of social skills by watching other people.
Yeah, I've done that from time to time.
I said strongly agree.
I put regular agree. I don't do it, I do a lot of more of the web searching stuff, but I have been known to be in a particular situation out and about. I won't even say a social situation. And I'll look at other people and I'll be like, how did that person walk up and start talking to that other person? How did that work? 'Cause I don't understand that. Because like at a certain point, it's like, oh, well, they had the courage to go do it. And I'm like, okay, I get that. I understand that. And that's one thing I can work on. But say that courage wasn't a problem. I don't know how did that person just start talking to another person? So I keep an eye out on stuff like that.
Yeah. I think for me, I put strongly agree because I don't do it that way. I mean, maybe from like media shows, movies, things that I thought were good, but also like I can channel people, not for real, but like, I think about someone that I look up to or something and how they do things in a certain situations that I want to be like or like interact like them. So then I just not pretend that I'm that person, but just like, okay, what would they do? And then do that. So like, because I've watched them do it. So that's how I do that.
Makes sense.
I do that all the time. I think this is a good place to cut it.
Yeah.
We're a little over halfway through it, but
I think what was that question? What out of 25, I think?
14
out of 25. Yeah. I think that's a good spot.
Yeah, we'll finish next time, and there's a little bit about the scoring we could talk about.
Yeah,
but there's stuff to come. But this conversation is interesting and sparking a lot of things. And if we were to finish this would be a marathon, and no one wants to hear that.
Although I will say, I think so far I like this test a lot better than any of the other ones we've taken so far.
I may be wrong because I don't remember this directly, but I feel like either Dr. Engelbright, who is the one who is on the spectrum and created embrace-autism.com. I believe she is a creator or something with this, but I'll have to check that. But like, it would make a lot of sense because something written by someone who understands it,
right,
and has been there, even anyway.
Well, I know too they have the self-ranking at the top, and I think I pretty well agreed with it. That says appropriate and respectful wording, 5 stars. I'd agree with that. Clarity and lack of ambiguity, 3 stars. I agree with that. That's right down the middle. And testing accuracy is 5 stars, but we'll let you wonderful people at home be the judge of that.
Transition time. Hold on. Let me get the script because I always try to wing it and I always mess this up. Okay.
It's funny because it looks like you threw away the script and was like, hold on, I need that.
It does. Came from the same pile. All right. Well, if you enjoyed any of this, please like, rate, subscribe wherever you are consuming this content. Please maybe write us a review with words. We'll read it. I don't know if we even checked.
I check fairly.
Okay, thank you. I don't know how to do things. I that's not true. I could figure it out. I'm not motivated.
Yeah, you're doing different things. You have different responsibilities.
Like making a post. I have this thing. I'm gonna do it.
You get it.
Okay. If you would like to follow us on social media, you could do so on Instagram and TikTok at InnerMoxiePod. You can email us at myinnermoxiepod@gmail.com. Find us on Patreon. Give us some money. That would be cool. Yes. For all the reasons you would do that. You could find me on Instagram at Zanism, ZANNISM. I am a religion and a disease. Bye.
Both. You can, if you want to hear more of me, you can listen to my other podcast, the Band Media Podcast. Also, I'm active is a stretch. I am on all of the general social medias, but I am most active over on TikTok, where you can find me at Band Ronnie.
Yep. And until next time, stay fresh, cheese bags. Bye.
Later.